The difference between one-time greatness and sustained greatness in professional sports tends to come down to complacency. If a team wins a championship, it's very easy to become complacent and think that it's good enough, but the teams that vie for titles year after year are the ones that are never complacent and always strive to get even better than they were before. In the NBA this year, as we all know, the Los Angeles Lakers took home the championship, further cementing LeBron James' legacy and proving all of the doubters wrong. As a championship team, they were in a position where they absolutely could have stayed the same going into next year and brought back most of the core rotation players, but with so many teams around them getting better, they instead outdid all of their competition. This offseason has been an overwhelming success for the Lakers, which brings us to the topic of today's video, where we will be discussing every major acquisition that they've made, how specifically each move improves the already dominant Lakers from a year ago, and why this has now resulted in the Lakers further separating themselves from the rest of the pack at the top of the NBA. Before we start though, it turns out about 68% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button because not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. In the Orlando bubble for last season's conclusion of the regular season and the playoffs, the Lakers took home the championship with a strong, tight-knit rotation of players that all came together and bought into their roles at the perfect time. Their chemistry was top-notch, and they seemed to genuinely enjoy playing together, so when all of that is rewarded with a championship, it's very easy to just want to run it back and try your luck at it again. But great franchises, as I said at the beginning of the video, are always looking to improve, and that's exactly what the Lakers did this offseason. All of the trades, draft picks, and free agent signings happening around the NBA this week definitely do matter, but in the grand scheme of things, they don't matter as much as the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers have gotten better, and I mean way better. Going into the offseason, they knew that some of their core members of the rotation were free agents, including Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard, Markieff Morris, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Rajon Rondo was arguably the team's third best player during their championship run, and despite inconsistencies in his play during the regular season over the last few years, it's basically impossible to deny at this point that playoff Rondo is for real, because time and time again, he takes his game to another level once the playoffs start and impacts winning at an elite level. He's one of the smartest players there are in the game today. His court vision and playmaking ability makes the team around him better when it matters, and he's a fierce competitor that will do whatever it takes to win down the stretch. He won the Lakers plenty of key playoff games this year, so you would think that the Lakers would want him back, but he left in free agency to sign with the Atlanta Hawks, likely mentoring young Trae Young and helping them take the next step towards playoff contention. Then with Dwight Howard, before he signed with the Lakers, he was seen as a net negative by many around the league, but with a fresh and change in mindset, a willingness to accept a lesser role that brings out the best of what he has to offer, and a motivation to prove people wrong, he was incredibly important off the bench for them as a rebounder, shot blocker, overall rim protector, and rim runner on offense. He's another player they were looking to bring back this offseason, and they were actually on the verge of doing so. But then other opportunities presented themselves to the franchise, and last minute they let Howard sign elsewhere, eventually landing with the Philadelphia 76ers. They did, however, re-sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to a 3-year contract worth $40 million, seemingly as a way to reward him for playing his best basketball in the finals, and they also convinced Markieff Morris to return for the minimum, with him bought in fully to be a part of a championship contender. So in reality, they didn't even lose all that much, especially when you consider all of the moves that we'll now be discussing to replace the two that they did lose. To start things off, the Lakers made some noise by trading away Danny Green and the first-round pick they had this year to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and in return, the Lakers received one of the 6th Man of the Year candidates from this past season, Dennis Schroder. Danny Green is a solid defender and brought championship pedigree to the Lakers last season, but his shooting was wildly inconsistent and he became a bit of a target for Lakers fans to pick on, so the fact that they were able to swap him for one of the best bench shot creators in the entire entire NBA is honestly wild to me. Schroder had the best season of his career last year, putting up 19 points and 4 assists per game, while shooting 47% from the field and 39% from 3. Plus, on top of the ability he has to score the basketball at a high level off the bench, he also is a good defender, so his versatility in lineups alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis will be crucial down the stretch of games. Oklahoma City was a surprise team last year, and a lot of the credit tends to go to Chris Paul for the team's success, but Schroder's impact on their success cannot be ignored, and now he's playing for the defending champs. But it does not stop there. Schroder was a finalist for the 6th Man of the Year last season, but the player that did win the award, Montrezl Harrell, was also a free agent this summer. The Lakers did just lose Dwight Howard, so there was an opening off the bench for a big to come in. So what do the Lakers do? Oh, they just casually add yet another elite bench option by signing Montrezl Harrell to a 2-year contract worth $18 million, which is honestly a steal for what he brings. And to add insult to injury, they stole him from the crosstown rival Clippers, which makes it an even more impactful signing. Harrell is a beast in the paint who attacks the rim harder than any big in the league, and his explosiveness and power at the rim allow him to go up and dunk it every time he's near there. He's a high motor player who crashes the glass hard and is the perfect roll man for pick and roll play, which should make the link up between him and Dennis Schroder a dominant bench duo the Lakers can utilize when LeBron is on the bench. Harrell is admittedly a player that struggles a bit on defense, and that became extra apparent in last year's playoffs, but those weaknesses can be hidden much easier on the Lakers because of the fact that he happens to now be playing alongside a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Anthony Davis, who can handle the duties of a rim protector where Harrell cannot. The power moves still don't stop there though, because they also signed 2 more valuable rotation pieces in Marc Gasol and Wesley Matthews, making the team now strong at virtually every position. Gasol is admittedly getting up there in age, and he's not the player he once was by any means, but in a limited role and against certain matchups, he can still bang in the post, play very strong defense in the paint, and stretch the floor offensively out to the 3-point line. Then with Wesley Matthews, he's pretty much the perfect Danny Green replacement because he's also a solid perimeter shooter, and his defense last season on the Bucks was very important to them having the best defense in the NBA. Listen, there are definitely other teams in the league getting better, and this season is by no means a foregone conclusion like it was at the peak of the Warriors dynasty, but if you think any other team besides the Lakers is the heavy favorite, you're honestly just kidding yourself. They still have LeBron James, they still have Anthony Davis, and for every player from last year's team that they lost, they brought in someone at their position that are better. Top to bottom, this team is scary, and they'll be incredibly tough to beat. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how good you think the Lakers will be next year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.